What if I told you one man reshaped math, challenged religion, got banned from teaching at Cambridge, and still went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize? His name? Bertrand Russell. He wasn't just a philosopher, he was a rebel, armed with logic, a mathematician who shattered the foundations of truth, and a voice of reason in a world addicted to war. In this video, we'll dive into the shocking, brilliant, and often controversial mind of Bertrand Russell and show how his ideas are more relevant today than ever. Let's begin. Bertrand Russell was born into British aristocracy in 1872. He could have lived a quiet, comfortable life as a member of the elite, but he chose a different path. He became a truth seeker. He mastered mathematics and philosophy. He wrote over 70 books. He spent time in jail. He fought against 2 world wars. He co-authored Principia Mathematica, a book so complex it took hundreds of pages just to prove that 1 + 1 = 2. Russell wasn't just interested in ideas, he lived them. When World War I broke out, he protested openly. The British government silenced him, fired him from Cambridge, and even locked him up. Russell responded with a smile and wrote, "No institution that punishes conscience can be considered moral." Russell's greatest intellectual weapon was logic. He believed that unclear thinking was the root of bad decisions, bad politics, and even war. To fix the world, we first had to fix our minds. His most famous contribution? Russell's paradox, a simple yet deadly idea that almost broke mathematics. Imagine this. There's a barber who shaves everyone in town who doesn't shave themselves. So, who shaves the barber? If he shaves himself, he shouldn't. But if he doesn't, he should. That's the paradox. It sounds like a brain teaser, but it exposed a fatal flaw in the foundation of set theory and forced mathematicians to rebuild logic itself. In today's world, Russell's precision is more necessary than ever. Fake news doesn't spread because people are evil. It spreads because they don't know how to question what they read. In 1927, Russell delivered a bold lecture, Why I Am Not a Christian. It sent shockwaves across the intellectual world. He argued that religion is not based on evidence, but on fear. Fear of death, fear of punishment, and fear of the unknown. He said religious belief was often used to control, not liberate. But here's the twist. Bertrand Russell was one of the most deeply moral thinkers of the 20th century. He believed in kindness, justice, and compassion, not because a god commanded it, but because human beings deserve it. He famously said, "Do not fear to be eccentric in opinion, for every opinion now accepted was once eccentric." To Russell, truth wasn't sacred, but the pursuit of it was. Russell wasn't just a philosopher in a quiet room. He marched, he campaigned, he resisted. During World War I, he was jailed for anti-war activism. During World War II, he supported resistance to Hitler. And after the war, he became one of the loudest voices warning the world about nuclear weapons. He teamed up with none other than Albert Einstein to write the Russell-Einstein Manifesto, a powerful plea for disarmament. It ended with the haunting words, "Remember your humanity and forget the rest." He later helped launch the Pugwash conferences, where scientists from both sides of the Cold War came together to prevent humanity from destroying itself. Today, as the world plays with AI weapons, drones, and cyber warfare, Russell's warnings sound less like history and more like prophecy. Russell wasn't just a philosopher in a quiet room. He marched, he campaigned, he resisted. During World War I, he was jailed for anti-war activism. During World War II, he supported resistance to Hitler. And after the war, he became one of the loudest voices warning the world about nuclear weapons. He teamed up with none other than Albert Einstein to write the Russell-Einstein Manifesto, a powerful plea for disarmament. It ended with the haunting words, "Remember your humanity and forget the rest." He later helped launch the Pugwash conferences, where scientists from both sides of the Cold War came together to prevent humanity from destroying itself. Today, as the world plays with AI weapons, drones, and cyber warfare, Russell's warnings sound less like history and more like prophecy. Bertrand Russell died in 1970 at the age of 97, but his influence is everywhere. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1950, not for fiction, but for championing freedom of thought and humanitarian ideals. He inspired the development of computer science, modern logic, and liberal political thought. He mentored Ludwig Wittgenstein, influenced Noam Chomsky, challenged popes, prime ministers, and presidents. And he left us with this: the good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge. So why does Bertrand Russell matter? Because in a world where everyone shouts, he whispered truth. In a world torn apart by power, he chose peace. In a world where it's easy to follow the crowd, he stood alone with reason, compassion, and relentless honesty. What would happen if more people thought like Bertrand Russell? Maybe we'd stop being certain and start being curious. Maybe we'd stop obeying and start understanding. And maybe, just maybe, we'd finally remember our humanity and forget the rest.